I, Malang F.S. Kamara,
I, Malang F.S. Kamara,
do swear that
do swear that
I'll speak the truth,
I'll speak the truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth,
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Kamara. Please take a seat. Welcome to the Commission. As you know, my name is Hareja Balagay, and I will be asking you questions today on behalf of the Commissioners. A few House rules for your information. There is interpretation being conducted into the local languages.
Okay.
Therefore, I ask you to speak slowly and to allow a few seconds at the end of my speech before you start yours, and I will do the same.
Okay.
To give you an idea of how the proceedings will unfold today, I will begin with a few questions about your background, your identity, your educational background, as well as your military career. And then for the bulk of your testimony, we will focus on the incident of November 11th, 1994. Do you understand?
Yes, please.
So can you please state your full name for the record?
My full name is Malang F.S. Kamara.
What does the FS stand for?
Fenda Siddiqui Kamara.
Are you known by any other name, apart from the names that you have just given us?
No.
Can you tell us when and where you were born?
I was born in Fatoto village, Upper River region,
Can you tell us the date?
24th April 1970.
So focusing on your educational background, can you tell us when and where you attended primary school?
I attended Fatoto Primary School.
Do you recall when you started and which year you finished primary school at Fatoto?
I started in 1978 and finished Fatoto Primary School in 1985.
Can you tell us where you went to after primary school?
I went to St. George's Secondary Technical School in Basse in 1985 and completed in 1989, June 2nd.
Thereafter, can you tell us what you did in terms of your career?
When I finished school, I was doing petty trading with my uncle, Swaro Kamara in Fatoto.
Thereafter, did you join any public institution?
No, I didn't. I was all alone doing petty trading with my uncle until 1991, when I was informed of military selection, which I joined in 1991.
So you joined the Gambia National Army in 1991, is that correct?
Yes, I joined the Gambia National Army in 1991.
Do you recall the exact date that you joined the Army?
I joined the Army on the 25th of August, 1991.
And do you recall your intake number?
My intake number is 16, the last batch trained by the British Army training team.
The last batch recruited by the British Army training team.
But
can you tell us a bit about the training that you received while you were in the Army?
I went through communication cadre after when I recruit training at the Farafenni military barracks after my passing out in 1992. Then I was deployed at Yundum barracks, and I was there. After my passing out, I was deployed to Echo Company.
And do you recall how long you served as a member of the Echo Company?
I served 2 months to 3 months, and I was redeployed again to Charlie Company.
Prior to that, just focusing on the Echo Company, what was your role within the Echo Company?
I was an infantryman, a rifleman,
And this is in 1992, correct?
1992, yes.
Do you recall who was the commander of Echo Company at that time? The company commander?
The company commander, if my memory serves me well, was Captain Mamad Ocham.
And do you recall who was your platoon commander?
At the time, at Echo Company, my platoon commander, I could not remember that, but I was there with Charna Jallo, Lieutenant Charna Jallo, and Sol Conte, Lieutenant Sol Conte. Then after 2-3 months, I was redeployed to Chalikoi.
And this was still in 1992, is that correct?
92.
How much time did you serve as a member of the Charlie Company?
I served Charlie Company from that 92 up to 93, 94. Sorry, 93. Then I was redeployed to the communication unit as a radio operator.
So in 93, you were redeployed as a communications operator, correct?
Yes, please.
Where were you based?
I was based at Yundam.
Before you became a communications operator, did you undertake any kind of course in relation to communications?
Yes, I did a communication cadre course in 92 when I was in Charlie Company. And the course lasted for 2 months. And, from that course, we returned back to our various units and returned again in 1993 when the Nigerians came for another communication course.
So to be clear, you had 2 different communication courses before you were redeployed to the communications unit, is that correct?
Yes, I mentioned 2 here, but we did 3. We did 1 with the British as well.
So in 1994, let's say July 1994, at the time of the coup, where were you stationed?
Before the 1994 coup,
Precisely, yes.
I was stationed at the headquarters, the Army headquarters in Banjul, number 3 Marina Parade.
So at that time, you were a member of the communications team or
Yes.
communications unit.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about how the communications unit was set up? How did it function?
Well, basically, we have a radio room at the time and a switchboard telephone room. We are responsible of the flow of the communication between the various units of the Army, that the incoming and the outgoing messages, that was our responsibility to be receiving those messages. You know.
So when you say the communications coming in and out, let's take the example of various units communicating about a particular issue. Would that go from one unit to the other, or would it go via the communications center at the Army headquarters?
There are certain messages that comes through communication. Some are sent by letters, but there are signal messages that will come through the communication unit that will be sent by radio means of communication or telephone, if need be telephone, but most we use the radio to send our messages.
And if the Army hierarchy, I'm now referring to the headquarters, if they needed to send a message to a particular unit or to a particular barracks, would that then go through the communication center?
Yeah, just like I said, not all messages would come. Some of them, they would draft a letter that will go, what some messages that comes through as a signal message would come through the communication center for onward transmission.
Can you give us an idea of how big the communications unit was in 1994? How many people were based at the Army headquarters?
The Army headquarters, we were just like up to 15 people, because you have personnel at Yundum as well. Well, basically, we were up to 20, 25 people, because some are at Yundum, some are at the headquarters. Other station, 2 or 3 people were at Farafenye and Katong and Kudam, basically.
Do you recall some of the personnel who were part of the team at the headquarters in 1994? The names of some of the individuals who were part of the communications team?
Yes, please. Yeah, I remember Second Lieutenant Usman Sonko. Then you have Owan Tom Dunia, Couple William Annie. That was also at the headquarters. This is the headquarters. Then you have Corporal Asim Juve. You have Musa C, Corporal Musa C. Then you have Sergeant Khalifa Khan, late. And Sergeant Moraina Bello.
Who was in charge of the communications team in 1994? Do you recall?
Usman Sonko.
Was that in July 1994?
No, July 1994 was Major Sam Olojodi.
Where was he from?
He is a Nigerian officer.
Who took over from him and when?
After the military takeover in July 1994, then Captain Lawrence Jara was there, but basically we were working directly with Usman Sonko.
What was your rank in July 1994?
I was a private soldier.
Were you present in the country on the day of the military takeover?
No, I traveled to Bissau.
Prior to that, prior to the takeover in July, on the 22nd July 1994, did you have occasion to speak to Yahya Jammeh?
Yes. I spoke to him because when my dad passed away on the 19th of July, 1994, I was called around 7 p.m. in the evening that my uncle was calling me home. Then I went to answer my uncle, but when I reached home, I asked my uncle what happened. Before he even spoke, I told him my dad has passed away. He said yes, but take heart. So that's where I started the transaction to talk to my commanders about the passing away of my father. So they could not give me any permission to travel to Bissau, as they say, claim it is far. So I went to the barracks. Then Jammeh was the duty officer that day. Then he asked me to go. He drafted my pass, my permission for me to travel. So he gave me that permission that if I am confronted on my return, let me just report to him.
Do you recall on which date that Yahya Jammeh gave you the pass?
On that very 19th at night.
19th July,
July 1994.
What was his rank at the time?
He was a lieutenant.
Was it unusual that he would sign a pass for you, even though your commanders had declined to do so?
It is unusual, yes.
Were you surprised by the fact that he agreed to do that?
Yeah,
or that he did that?
As a duty officer, maybe he took it upon himself that he should do that, he would do that, and but it should not be his, I should try it through the commander, and with the commander's approval, and even the commander should have sent it through the headquarters for onward approval. So it should basically come from the headquarters, not from him.
So he gave you a pass to go to your father's funeral.
Yeah.
So you were not in the country on the 22nd July,
No.
1994.
No.
Upon your return, were you still based at the Army headquarters?
Yes. When I came, I just went back to my unit, which was at the Army headquarters, and just continued working.
In November 1994, were you still based at the Army headquarters in the communications unit?
Yes, I was still based at the headquarters and at the communication center.
I want to focus on the events of 10th November 1994. Do you recall that day?
Yes, I do.
Were you on duty at the Army headquarters?
Yes, on the 10th November, I was on duty at the Army headquarters.
Can you tell us what happened that day while you were on duty?
While I was on duty, we were there in the morning around 11 towards 12 when we received the information that the council members were all in Union Barracks except the chairman at the time.
Who did you receive the information from?
We received from our colleagues at the communication center at Yundum.
And when they said all the council members were at Yundum Barracks except the chairman, which members were they referring to?
They were referring to then Lieutenant Sanasabali, the vice chairman, Lieutenant Edward Singate, the then Minister of Defense, and Lieutenant Sadibu Haidara, the Minister of Interior, and Lieutenant Yankuba Toure, then Local Government Minister and Lands, Local Government and Lands Minister.
Did they provide you with any other information in terms of who else was present at that meeting?
Yeah, the senior officers, because I work at the headquarters, most of the senior officers were all gone to Yundum to attend that meeting with the council and the officers and other ranks at the military barracks Yundum.
Can you tell us which senior officers left the Army headquarters to attend the meeting at Yundum Barracks?
The then Army Commander, Babukar Jata, left. His deputy Baji also left, Mamadou Baji.
What was his rank at the time?
Captain Mamadou Baji.
Do you know which position he holds currently?
He holds the security advisor
Security advisor
to the president.
Please continue.
And Dennis Coker, Captain Dennis Coker.
What was his role at the time?
Dennis Coker, I think, was working as the administrator, Colonel AQ, under Colonel AQ, admin and quartermaster.
Any other senior officers who left to go to Yundum Barracks for that meeting, to your knowledge?
No, I cannot remember all of them, but basically most of the senior officers went. We were just skeletal personnel that were left behind, but basically all of them has gone to Yundum to attend that meeting, except the junior officers.
So you told us that the radio operator from Yundum Barracks called around 10, 11 in the morning, informed you that these senior personnel were meeting with the soldiers at Yundum Barracks.
Mhm.
Did they tell you why that meeting was taking place?
Yeah, because they told us the meeting basically was all about, there was a rumor of some of the officers and soldiers planned to boycott the Remembrance Day parade that was to be held a few days, 2 days or a day after the 11th, because normally Remembrance Day parade are held every Sunday, second Sunday of November every year. So that was to be held on that weekend, but it was rumored that they are going to boycott the events.
Did they explain why the soldiers wanted to boycott the event?
Yeah, basically they were saying if the council, because the council failed to meet the promise they have made to soldiers when they take over the country, that is the July 22nd, the promise made to soldiers were never honored, and if they are not honored, they were going to boycott the Remembrance Day parade.
Did they tell you which promise the council members had made to the soldiers?
That is basically about their welfare in general, and welfare of the soldiers, their housing and other issues.
So if I understand correctly, in order to incentivize the soldiers to participate in the July 22nd, 1994 coup d'etat, these council members had, at the time, they were just senior soldiers, but they had promised that they would look into the welfare of the soldiers if they participated in the coup d'etat. Is that correct?
Yes, and promised them with compensations
Compensation for what?
for participating in the coup.
You said these were rumors.
Yes,
How did you find out about this information?
because soldiers will always sit and discuss issues. You know, you'll come to know about things that happen or that were said when you are not there, because it keeps circulating. Almost virtually everybody have the same friend. You trust this person, he also trusts another person. This is how information flows.
Okay, so on November 10th, the council members and other senior personnel were meeting with the soldiers in Yundum Barracks to discuss the rumor that the soldiers wanted to boycott the Remembrance Day celebrations. Do you know for how long the council members had the meeting with the soldiers at Yundum Barracks?
They were there up till 3:30 in the afternoon.
How do you know that?
Through the same colleagues at Yundum in Communication Center. When they departed Yundum Barracks, we knew that they were leaving.
Around what time did they depart Yundum Barracks?
3:30.
3:30. Did they tell you where the council members were going next?
Yes, we were told they are heading to Fajara Barracks for a similar meeting.
Do you remember which specific radio operator called from Yundum Barracks?
It was Private BI, who was on duty at the time, Ibrahima BI.
So Private Ibrahima BI, who was the radio operator at Yundum Barracks at the time, on the 10th of November.
Yeah.
So the council members then moved on to Fajara Barracks in the afternoon after 3:30 p.m. Do you know what happened at Fajara Barracks?
A similar meeting was conducted, as of Yundum, was conducted there too, and they were there up till late in the evening.
Do you know what time they left Fajara Barracks?
Fajara Barracks, I think they left there around after 7.
How do you know that? Did you speak to the operator at Fajara Barracks as well?
At Fajara Barracks as well, yeah.
Do you recall which radio operator you spoke to on that day from Fajara Barracks?
Yeah, Private Abdullah Diba was the radio operator on duty that day at Fajara Barracks.
Can you tell us what information Private Diba conveyed to you when he called?
We were just chatting as we call each other and chat, and you inform us that the council were here and on a meeting. I told him, yes, I knew they were at Yundum in the morning up till around 3:30 when they depart Yundum to your location at Fajara Barracks. That was what we were discussing.
Did he tell you anything else about how the meeting unfolded or what happened at the meeting?
No, because his office and the meeting area was very far. He cannot leave that place to attend the meeting.
So his communication to you was to tell you when they arrived and when they left and the fact that they conducted a meeting, correct?
Yeah.
So the council members left Fajara Barracks after 7 p.m. in the evening. You were still on duty at the Army headquarters,
Army
is that
headquarters,
correct?
yes.
Can you tell us what happened that evening while you're on duty? Did you speak to anyone else?
Yes, I spoke to the chairman of the AFPRC.
Can you tell us around what time he called?
He called around 8:30 in the evening.
So let's take it step by step. Tell us as much as you can recall about that conversation when he called.
Okay, when he called, I received the call and answer in the. I said, "Good evening. This is the Army headquarters. Can I help you?" So he said, "Who is this?" I replied, "This is Private Camara." He said, "To me, are you people briefed?" I said, "By who?" He said, "By your guard commander." I told him, "No, sir." He said, "Okay, I will call back." So he hung off the phone.
So a few questions about that. When he called, did he identify himself?
Yes, he identified himself. As when I identified myself, I said, "Who are you?" Because he asked, and I identified myself as Private Camara, and I also asked him, "Who are you, please?" So he identified himself as the chairman, the chairman. I said, "Your Excellency." He said, "Yes." I said, "Good evening, sir." Then.
And you understood by chairman that it was?
Yeah, well, I could recognize the voice when he said so.
So when he said, "Are you people briefed?" What do you believe he was referring to? Did you have an idea at that time what he was talking about?
I don't. I don't.
Did you, at that point, do anything as a result of that phone call?
No, I didn't.
So what was going through your mind, having had the chairman call directly to ask if you were briefed? What were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, I started thinking a lot because basically I don't know what was happening, but I knew the council was at Yundum and was at Fajara Barracks, and there is rumor of boycotting the parade that was to be held for the Remembrance Day parade. So I look confused. I don't know what is going to happen and what was happening. So, but he promised to call back. So I was waiting for the call back.
And did he in fact call back?
Yes, after 30 minutes again, that was around 9 o'clock again, he called again.
So again, step by step, what do you recall from that conversation?
When he called back, he asked me, he told me Okay, listen very well. And if he gave me specifically names of people,
I want to, as much as you can remember the conversation, if you can recall exactly what he said, what you said, and then we'll take the conversation like that. So tell us exactly what was said rather than paraphrasing to the extent that you recall.
yeah, when he called back, he asked me to go and inform the guard commander that he gave names of people that were our officers. He told me to go and inform the guard commander if Lieutenant Dotfal, Lieutenant LF Jame, Sir Jackal, that is Sergeant Juf.
What was Sergeant Juve's first name?
I think it's Aliu Juf. Aliu Juf, commonly known as Sir Jackal. And Lieutenant Ba, also Aliu Ba, and Sergeant Ba, Achopin, commonly known as Achopin. Lieutenant Mane.
Do you know Lieutenant Mane's first name?
Bakari Mane Nyancho. Lieutenant Bineminte. I think he gave names up to 8 people. I don't know whether I've named all, but I think up to 8 people.
Well, let me repeat the names that I have.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Dotfal, Lieutenant LF Jame, Sir Jackal, Lieutenant Bakari Mane, known as Nyancho, Lieutenant Bineminte, so we're missing a few names.
And Jibril Say
What was his rank at the time?
was a lieutenant, promoted newly lieutenant.
I'm looking at the statement that you provided to investigators of the TRRC, and the one name that appears in the statement that you haven't mentioned, or should I say 2 names, Lieutenant Basiru Barrow.
Lieutenant Basiru Barrow, very correct.
Did the chairman mention his name?
Yes, he mentioned his name.
You also mentioned Sergeant E.M. Cisse.
E.M. Cisse.
Did the chairman mention his
He
name?
mentioned his name as well.
So when Chairman Jame mentioned these 8 names, what exactly did he say should be done about those 8 people?
He said if these people should come to the headquarters, inform the guard commander, if these people should come to the headquarters and wanted to force themselves in, open fire on them.
Did you find,
that we should shoot at them.
Did you find this order unusual?
Very unusual.
Please tell us why.
Because I suppose not to take orders from him directly. He should have relayed that message through the command, and that will be filtered down to us, but not from the president directly or the head of state to an operator of my level, a private soldier at the time. And giving the words, open fire on them, was something that was serious for us to do at that level, at that time.
What do you mean by that?
Because open fire on somebody just coming to the headquarters I don't know what should have warrant us to do that, and why would they come and have to force themselves at the headquarters? So I wouldn't know why should we have to do that.
Even if such individuals came to the headquarters and tried to force themselves in, would opening fire be the appropriate response, regardless of how they try to force themselves in?
Yeah, but I don't think so, but it depends how they would be coming to the headquarters as well. Whether they would come with the use of force, with weapons, and that, yes, you would have to defend your position. But I don't think they would have come to the headquarters, because there would have been no reason for them to come to headquarters and force themselves.
But you found the order to open fire on those individuals, should they choose to force themselves in, to be unusual?
Yes.
So having received this unusual order from Chairman Jame, what did you do next?
As he instructed, I went out after he hung up the call. I went out to inform the guard commander about the developments, the call that I've received, which I did accordingly, and I came back to my office.
Do you recall who was the guard commander that night?
No, at the time, I couldn't remember the name of this guard commander, because, like I said in the statement, there used to be guards coming from Fajara barracks. Guards would come from Yunum barracks and the Navy. So I couldn't actually remember which guard commander was there at the time.
When you relayed Chairman Jame's unusual instructions to the guard commander, what was his reaction?
Yeah, he was also just surprised. He said, we should open fire. What is happening? I said, I don't know. I told him, I don't know what is actually, but this is the message that I have received to be relayed to you.
Were you present when the guard commander briefed the other soldiers?
Yeah, he started calling his soldiers, because I met some of them sat outside brewing attire, some were inside relaxing. So he has to call them while I also returned back to my office, because I was alone in the office.
So having relayed Chairman Jame's instructions to the guard commander, you went back to the communications room.
Yes.
Did you receive or make any phone calls after that?
Yes, I did try to make phone calls. I made phone calls to Fajara, because Benaminte's name was mentioned, which I came from the same village with. So when he mentioned his name, I was so worried about his safety. So I tried to ring Benaminte, because even if I had to call at the signal center at Fajara barracks, the operator was alone, cannot leave that distance. If you know Fajara barracks, where the training school is, and the main gate is too far, and normally we are only one duty signaler at the time, operator. So he could not. I have to use the anti-roam telephone and a telephone booth that was around the guard room. So I tried to ring these two places on and off, but I couldn't hold on to anybody to receive the call so that I could talk to Bine at the time. I tried as much as I could, but I could not get a hold of him on phone. So I could warn him to stay away if he is part of whatever was happening. Because why this man mentioned their name, whether he is part of the team that is that plan to boycott the parade, I don't know. But why he mentioned his name, I was scared and worried about his safety.
So the chairman called after 9 p.m.
Yes.
You went and spoke to the guard commander, went back to the communications room, and tried to call Bineminte. Do you remember around what time that was?
This was around 10 after 10.
Did anything else happen that night?
Yes. After the call, I went and have my bath and I prayed Isha prayers. When I prayed, I dressed up because when the call came and the order that was given, the subsequent order to shoot, so I know all is not well. So I dressed up in my combat boot. That was in uniform, but now after bath, I put on my combat boot and take up my rifle.
Did you remain in the communications room, or were you somewhere else within the Army headquarters?
I was in the communication room because that's where I should be.
So following that, did you hear or observe anything in particular that night?
Yeah, around 1:30 towards 2 a.m., I went outside smoking cigarette, but I went outside to observe if everything was normal, but I could hear gunshots at distance, rapid fire of gunshots.
Do you recall from which direction those...
That was coming from the Combo direction, that's Fajara, I presume.
Do you recall for how long that rapid fire of gunshots lasted?
Yeah, it went for quite a while, you know. Even, yeah, it went quite a while.
After that, what happened next?
Okay, at 3:30 a.m., Usman Sonko arrived, Second Lieutenant Usman Sonko arrived. You could realize that he was running because he was breathing fast. So when he knocked on my door, there is a cupboard when you enter the then signal center at the Army headquarters, now Joint Service headquarters. By the left, when you enter, there is a cupboard. So I climbed through the radio table and stood on top of that cupboard because I switched off the bulb, cover the light reflection on the radios, you know, because when they are on in that darkness, the room would still be bright. So I covered them. Then I climbed up the table to the top of the cupboard to take cover there when I was opening the door for Usman Sonko. So I opened through while I was on top of that cupboard. So when he entered, I was on top of the cupboard. I pointed my gun on to the door. So it was him. So he called my name. Then I came down. I told him what happened. He just opened the cupboard and grabbed his own rifle, because that's where we kept all our rifles, the personnel that were at the station at the Joint Service Headquarters Communication Center.
Did he say anything to you?
No, he did not explain anything. He just took his rifle and rushed. So he said he was going to the State House. And subsequently, that's how his transfer came to the State House.
So he took his weapon, said he was going to the State House,
Yeah.
and then he left.
He left.
Can you tell us what happened after that?
When he left, we were there up till morning. And at around 8, when soldiers started arriving for work.
We're now talking about the 11th November in the morning, around 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Please continue.
At 11 in the morning of 8 a.m., when soldiers started arriving for work, I was there, you know, dressed up when one of my corporals, late Corporal Hasim Juf, called me that Captain Lawrence Jara want an escort to Yundum.
And you already told us that Captain Lawrence Jarrah was one of the senior men in the Army at the time.
Yes.
Member of the communications team, or?
He was our OC before the coming of the Nigerians. He was the head of the communication unit.
So Captain Lawrence Jarrah came in. Tell us what happened.
He said he needed an escort to Yundum, and my corporal, later Hasim Juf, Corporal Hasim Juf, called me. So he told me, as you are off duty today, so you can escort this man, Captain Jarrah, to Yundum. Then on your way back, you can just drop home. Along the way, you go home till tomorrow.
Prior to that, had you received any information from the soldiers who came to work that day about what was actually happening in the country at the time?
Yeah, we had the info before, in fact, the soldiers came from the mail vehicle that comes to give meals, that there were a coup attempt, so, and soldiers and some officers were arrested at both Yundum and Fajara. We got the information before some of my colleagues that I work with in the same office came.
Do you recall who you actually spoke to? Who gave you that information?
Late Yankuba Kante was one of them who told me. And I spoke to the operator as well at Yundum.
When did you speak to the operator at Yundum?
That morning, early morning.
Around what time?
That was around 7 to 7, after 7 in the morning.
Can you tell us what the operator from Yundum told you?
Yeah, that they had a very bad night because there was a coup plot here, and some arrests were made. This is what he told me.
You told us earlier that the operator on duty at Yundum Barracks that night was Ibrahima
BI.
Ibrahima BI. Was he the same one who called you that morning?
Yeah, very early morning.
So apart from the information that soldiers had been arrested, did he tell you anything else?
No, he didn't.
Okay, so after 8 in the morning, you're asked to accompany Captain Lawrence Jarrah to Yundum Barracks.
Yes.
Can you tell us when you arrived? Well, first of all, it was yourself, Captain Jarrah. Did anyone else go with you?
No, we are only two in the vehicle.
Can you tell us at what time you arrived at Yundum Barracks?
We arrived at Yundum Barracks around 9 in the morning.
Now let's take it step by step. Upon your arrival at Yundum Barracks, can you tell us what you observed?
When we arrived at Yundum Barracks, it was tense and chaotic there.
What do you mean by that?
Because it was not normal as it used to be. People have been arrested, people have been stripped off, and the guard room cells was virtually full. It was filled up.
So let's focus on that. You said people were being arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us from what you could observe who was arresting who?
Yeah, the RPs and some of the soldiers, orders were given, arrest this person,
Can you identify some of the individuals who were arrested?
Basiru Kamara, I met him in the cells.
Do you recall?
Sergeant Basiru Kamara.
Yes.
I also met EMCC.
You told us that he was a sergeant at the time, is that
Sergeant EMC Seya.
correct? Yes, please continue.
Lieutenant Jibril Seyu. Amadou Mbake Silla. Cadet Amadou Mbake Silla. Yeah, these are people that I can fully remember. And during the arrest, I saw Kairaba Kamara, nicknamed Mfa Kamara.
What was his rank at the time?
He was a corporal at the time. He was arrested, and all of a sudden, he was being arrested as well. He was part of people that were arrested, and later he was arrested.
So the people that you've mentioned who were arrested, where were they taken to?
To the guard room.
And do you recall, apart from Karabakh Camera, who you've mentioned, do you recall any of the individuals who were arresting people? So the people who were conducting the arrest?
The Tamba, late Tamba, I forgot the first name, but it was coupled Tamba. He was a provo, slim guy.
Who else?
Yeah, these are the people that I can remember at the time. Just like I said, there were so many others, but the situation was chaotic, and
let's focus on, before we move to the detainees, let's focus on other individuals who were present at Yundum Barracks. Were members of the junta present?
yes, the members of the juntas were present.
Can you tell us who you recall seeing that morning at Yundum Barracks?
I saw Lieutenant Sana Sabali, the vice chairman. I saw Lieutenant Edward Singate, the then Minister of Defense. Lieutenant Sadibu Haidara, the then Minister of Interior. And Lieutenant Yankuba Toure, the then Minister of Local Government and Lands.
Apart from members of the junta, what about senior members of the army? Who do you recall seeing that morning at Yundum?
The then commander, Gambia National Army, Babukar Jata, Major Babukar Jata was there. Captain Mamadou Baji, now the security advisor to the president. Dennis Coker was there, captain. And Captain Samsidin Sar was also there. This I could remember.
You mentioned that soldiers were being arrested and put in the guard room. Where were these members that you've mentioned? So where were members of the junta and the senior officers at that time? Where were they located within the barracks?
They were just next to the guard room, just a bit opposite the RSM's office at the car park at the time.
Amongst those senior officers, as well as the members of the junta, from your recollection, could you determine if someone was in charge of that group?
Well, virtually Sana was doing everything. He was in charge of everything.
Can you tell us what you saw or heard him doing?
Yeah, he was giving orders. Anything that happened, Sana has to give those orders.
What kind of orders did you hear him giving?
Yeah, that is, get him, you only hear get him, get him to the cell, those kind of orders.
You mentioned that you saw a number of soldiers who had been detained in the guard room, so arrested and detained in the guard room. Can you describe what you saw? Like, were they wearing anything when you saw them?
You could see their head, but up to their neck, you will know that they are naked. In fact, some of them were driven in nakedly, only wearing their underwears.
Out of the people that you mentioned seeing, so EMC say, Lieutenant Jibril Say, Cadet Amadou Mbake Silla, and Corporal Karaba Kamara, were they also stripped of their uniforms?
Kairaba was in uniform, but these three other people that were initially arrested were all stripped of naked, except with their underwears.
You said that the situation was tense and chaotic because people were constantly being arrested and put in the guard room.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to estimate roughly how many people you saw who were arrested?
I could not see through the guard room how many people, but there'll be more than 20 people inside.
Just to take you back slightly, you mentioned Corporal Tamba,
Mm-hmm.
and you said you didn't quite recall his name, but does the name Tumbul or Ansumana ring a bell?
No, it's not Tumbul, it's not Ansumana. This guy is also from Sintete. I could definitely not remember his name, but he's a slim guy, and he was the only Tamba RP at the time. He's late now.
What does RP stand for?
Regimental Police. The Tumbul also hail from Sintete, or that the same family, but this is a slim guy. It's not Tumbul or Ansumana. I know both.
Thank you for that clarification. That's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
When you saw the detainees in the guard room, you said that there are a lot of detainees. Do you know if they were detained in any other location apart from the guard room, as far as you could observe?
What I know is that the guard room.
So after you saw that certain soldiers had been detained in the guard room, can you tell us what happened next? What did you do? What else did you observe?
Yeah, what I do, just like I said, the situation was chaotic and tense, and definitely I don't feel comfortable being around the guard room area. So I went to the communication office to stay there.
How far was the communications office from the guard room?
It's like 15 to 20 meters away from the guard room.
From where you were in the communications center in Yundum Barracks, could you still see what was happening around the guard room area?
No, I could not see.
So while you were there, what could you observe at the time? Was anything happening at that time?
Yeah, because Lieutenant Edward Singate moved towards the anteroom area. There was this truck was parked around the anteroom area. The anteroom is next to the signal center at the time. And this truck was parked just almost in front of the signal center and the anteroom. So through the window, you can see soldiers coming up and down of the truck. So I become also curious. I went to see what is at the truck. But on arrival, when I climb up through to see what is in the truck, I saw 2 dead bodies.
Could you recognize the 2 dead bodies that you saw inside the truck?
The 2 dead bodies were that of Lieutenant Basiru Baro and Lieutenant Dotfal. But Dotfal was still not completely dead.
What do you mean by that?
He was still shaken. The body was still shaken. You could see him moving, So he was still not completely dead.
Apart from those 2 bodies in the truck, was there anything else in the truck?
No, but only 2 of them in the truck.
So after you observed the 2 bodies, and at that time you said Lieutenant Dotfal was still shaking, so he wasn't completely dead.
That, yeah.
Do you recall around what time that was?
That was around 11.
Around 11 in the
11
morning.
in the morning, after 11.
Can you tell us what you did after that?
I was inside the communication center still now. I went back to the communication office. I was inside when I saw EMCC, Sergeant EMCC, being marched towards the cookhouse area.
From where you were in the communication center, can you explain to us where the cookhouse was in relation to
The
that?
cookhouse would be like 10 meters from the communication center.
So from the communication center, you could see what was happening outside.
Yeah, through the window you could see what is happening.
Can you tell us what you observed?
I saw sign EMCC being marched towards the cookhouse area. So we were inside. I had gunshots.
A single shot or multiple shots?
Multiple shots.
Please continue.
So when I had those multiple shots, after a while I came out again to find out what happened. So I met up with a group of soldiers that I asked what is that gunshot, and I was told it was signed EMCC that was shot at.
Who told you that EMCC had been shot?
Yeah, I cannot remember this particular soldier, but they were in group that were coming from the mosque area, but the group that was conducting, they were far ahead of the mosque. There is a bathroom there, and the area is an empty area. There is no other construction after the bathroom, so you could see the area is virtually empty.
So you saw EMCC being marched. You heard gunshots, but you didn't actually see who killed.
No.
You came out, and then you were told he had been shot.
Shot.
Were you told who shot him?
Edward.
Which Edward?
Edward Singate, Lieutenant Edward Singate was the guy conducting.
What do you mean by was the guy conducting?
He ordered the shooting.
That's what you were told.
Yeah, that's what I was told.
Did you see EMCC's body at all?
No, I never reached that area because I don't want to be used. So, in fact, that made me to go and put my rifle in the vehicle that we use and open the boot and place my gun there.
When you say you didn't want to be used, what do you mean?
Because when you stood there with your rifle, you can just be called at random, go and kill this person. So I don't want to be used at the time.
Did you actually see any particular person being ordered to shoot someone else?
No.
So after you heard that it was Edward Singate who ordered the shooting of EMCC or shot EMCC, which one is it? Did he order the shooting or did he shoot EMCC himself? I'm trying to seek a clarification. Were you told that Edward Singate shot EMCC himself or he ordered the shooting of EMCC?
He ordered the shooting of EMCC, I was told.
So after you put your rifle back in the vehicle, what did you do next?
I went back to communication, the communication room.
Can you tell us what happened after that?
Again, while I was inside, we had another gunshot, which was Fafanyang. That was next. In fact, sorry, Fafanyang was shot before EMCC.
Okay, let's take that step by step.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the shooting of Fafanyang, which you said happened before EMCC. Can you explain to us where you were and what happened step by step?
I was in the communication room. Just like I said, the truck was parked just outside the communication room and next to the ante-room. So that's where Fafanyang was shot at.
Did you observe the shooting?
No.
So tell us step by step what you heard and what led you to the conclusion that Fafanyang was shot.
Fafanyang was brought in to the ante-room where Edward was stood, according to what I knew. Edward was stood and he asked Fafanyang, go and greet your friends. That is the two dead bodies of Dotfal and Basiru Baro in the truck. According to what I heard, that's what he told him, go and greet your friends. And when Fafanyang climbed up to what is in the truck, Edward shot him at the back, and he fell down.
So that's what you heard?
That's what I heard.
But you weren't present at that time?
No.
From where you were in the anteroom, did you hear any gunshots?
I was at the signal radio room when we had this concert.
So you heard the gunshot while you were in signal room?
Signal room, yeah.
Did you go outside at that time, or
No,
did you remain in the signals room?
It was 3 shots that I had. So I did not come out instantly, but after everything, we went outside to see. We opened the signal gate, we stood there. We did not reach where he was shot, but we stood at the door and you could see the dead body on the floor there, on the ground.
Can you tell us what you could observe in terms of Fafanyang's dead body?
Fafanyang's dead body, you can even see his intestine outside, where he was laid.
Did you notice anything else on his body apart from the intestines?
No, that's what I could notice, and I definitely could not reach at him, because these are people that I've worked with. They are the people that have welcomed me, and to be honest,
Please take your time, Mr. Kamara. Mr. Chairman, I believe the witness needs a few minutes, so either we can break early and then come back after the break, or we wait for a few minutes and see if he can proceed.
Thank you, Counsel. I think we were heading for the break anyway. Maybe we should take that right now and come back at 12 noon. If there is no problem from the Commission, meeting is adjourned. We come back at 12 noon.
Welcome back, Mr. Camara. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
I would like to remind you that you're still under oath.
Yes, please.
So before we continue, I would like to recap some of what you've told us, just to make sure that it's clear. You told us that while you were at Yundum Barracks in the morning of the 11th November 1994,
Yeah.
Fafanyang was killed.
Mhm.
So that was the first killing that you were aware of. You heard 3 shots while you were in the communications center.
Yeah.
You came out and you realized that he had been killed in front of the anteroom. You were informed by the soldiers who were standing around that it was Edward Sinyate who killed him. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
At the time that you saw Fafanyang's body, did you see anyone else killed at that same time?
No.
You said that you were informed that it was Edward Sinyate who killed him. Were the other junta members present when you saw the body at that time?
No.
Can you tell us who was present around that area, as far as you can recall?
I could see Edward through the window, and Malafikor, late Malafikor.
What was his rank at the time?
He was a lance corporal at the time.
Did you see him doing anything at that time?
Not precisely, because when we peeped in through the window to see, he was already on the ground.
You eventually went outside, and that's how you could see...
At the door. At the door.
At the door?
We just stood at the door of the signal center, the communication center.
Did you see anyone else present in that area at that time?
There were others, but I could definitely not remember. I could remember seeing Edward and Malafi.
Does the name Lamin Koli mean anything to you?
Yeah, Lamin Koli, yeah. Lamin Koli was also present. Lamin Koli.
What, if anything, was he doing at the time when you saw him?
Lamin Koli, or I was equally told, he also participated in the shooting of Fafanyang.
When were you given this information?
The same time that we were informed about the shooting of Fafa.
Do you know anyone by the name Sergeant Basiru Kamara? In fact, I can't remember if you mentioned him before. But
yeah, Basiru Kamara, I know him. He was a driver, a sergeant.
Do you recall seeing him that morning while you were at Yundum Barracks?
Yeah, I recall seeing him in the guard room cells.
Was that the only time that you saw him that morning?
That was the only time I saw him, when he called my name.
You mentioned that upon your arrival at Yundum Barracks, you saw various members of the junta. Right now, you've only mentioned Edward Sinyate. Do you know where the other members were at the time of Fafanyang's shooting?
The other members, some were inside the anteroom, and Edward was outside.
You mentioned that apart from the members of the junta, you saw other senior officials at Yundum Barracks, and one of the names that you mentioned was Captain Samsudin Sar.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure, just to clarify whether he was in fact there.
Yeah, point of correction, he wasn't there. Sorry for that.
Please explain, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, what I mean, at the time, Samsudin Sar was detained at Mile 2 at the time.
Okay,
of
so
November 11, he wasn't there.
So he wasn't present that morning at Yundum.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. You also mentioned when the chairman called you. I'm now going back to the day before I proceed. You mentioned that one of the names he identified, the soldiers that should be opened fire on, was Sajako. I just want to clarify his precise name.
Yeah, his precise name is Alaji Cham, but he came in the army with a false certificate, so we know him as Chuf instead of Cham. He's never using his correct name in the army.
I just wanted to make sure that the record is clear in
Yeah,
terms of the
that's right.
actual name.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
So the first person who was killed, as far as you're aware, that morning at Yundum Barracks was Fafanyang.
Yeah.
And thereafter, you told the commission that EMCC was killed.
EMCC.
And from what you told us, you were told that it was Edward Sinyate who ordered his shooting, correct?
Yeah.
And that he was cooked in front of the cookhouse. He
Yeah.
was killed, sorry, in front of the cookhouse.
Cookhouse, yeah.
But you did not see his body.
No.
Do you recall around what time these two incidents occurred, the killing of Fafanyang as well as the killing of EMCC?
It is around 11 for Fafanyang and between the hours of 12 and 1 for EMCC in the afternoon.
After these two killings, are you aware of any other killings while you were still at Yundum Barracks that morning?
No, I left. I was at the signal center. Then after I left to check on Captain Jara whether he was ready for us to leave. So coincidentally, I met him who was also looking for me. So we departed for Banjul.
Do you recall around what time you left Yundum Barracks with Captain Lawrence Jara?
At around 1 towards 2 p.m.
When you left the barracks, you said you departed for Banjul, sorry.
Banjul.
Did you go back to the Army headquarters or did you go somewhere else?
No, I dropped along the road at Talending Market where I live. So I just went home and Captain Jara continued to the headquarters.
So Mr. Kamara, how did it feel being at the barracks that morning and knowing that your fellow officers had been killed by members of your own force, the Gambia National Army? How did it feel knowing that?
I felt very bad, and definitely it was very wrong that people that you accuse have been plotted to overthrow or whatever they could have done wrong, they are arrested. We could have tried them through the due process of the law, either by court martial or any other law, than taking the law into our own hands, executing people that we've worked with, that we knew. You know, I felt really bad.
After you returned home that day, did you return to work the next day?
No, I did not return the next day because it falls on a Saturday. I never work. I don't work. If I'm not on duty, you don't work on Saturday at the communication centers. So I did not return to work until Monday.
That would have been the 14th of November, is that correct?
Yes.
Upon your return to work at the Army headquarters in Banjul, did you receive any information about what happened to the other soldiers who were arrested at Yundum Barracks?
Yeah, I got information that some of the soldiers were executed at C4 bus, at C4. Some were executed at Prikamanyambai forest, you know. And this definitely disturbed me because it took me 48 good hours I couldn't sleep. All I do was smoke and smoke. Then I used to smoke cigarette. So for 48 good hours I couldn't sleep.
Were you told the names of the officers who had been killed at Nyambai Forest and Sifo? as far as you
Nyambai, I could remember my batch mate, Ahmad Mbaki Silla, officer cadet, was killed at the Nyambai forest, and Lieutenant Jibril Say. I think, and Bashiru Kamara. This I could remember.
And this is based on the information
The
that
information
you heard because you weren't
had,
present.
yeah, because I wasn't there.
What about CIFO?
Sifu, no, I couldn't. I didn't remember. I can't remember those who were killed there, but I know, like the information I got, people were also taken there and shot at, executed there rather.
Were you also provided with information as to who killed these individuals?
Yeah, the information we got is the junta. That is the military junta, Sana Sabali and Co.
Were you given any specific names as to which members of the junta were involved?
Yes.
Please tell us.
Lieutenant Sana Sabali, the vice chairman. Lieutenant Edward Singate, the Minister of Defense then. Lieutenant Yankuba Toure, Minister for Local Government and Lands, and Lieutenant Sadibu Haidara, Minister of Interior.
Were you informed if any other soldiers took part in the killings apart from members of the junta?
No, I didn't know. I can't remember. I didn't know, to be honest.
Do you recall who provided you with this information, that it was members of the junta who were involved in the killings of soldiers?
No, this information normally comes through chat groups. When we sat and chatting, you come to know about what happened the other days, as we were stationed at Banjul and they are at Yundum, so that's how we come to get these informations.
What is your current rank at the moment?
My current rank is Warrant Officer Class 1.
At the time of the 1994 November 11th incident, you were a private, correct?
A private soldier, yeah.
Can you tell us about your various promotions? When you were promoted, what rank were you promoted to?
In 1996, I think 1st July 1997, I was promoted to the rank of a Lance Corporal. And 1998, no, 96, I was promoted Lance Corporal, then 1998, a Corporal, 1st January 1998, Corporal, then 1st January 2000, I was promoted. No, I was promoted a Corporal 2000. 1st July 1997, a Lance Corporal, then January 2000, a Corporal, then 2006, 1st July 2006, I was promoted a Sergeant. And 2011, January 2011, I was promoted Staff Sergeant while on mission in Darfur. Then 2015, July 2015, I was promoted Warrant Officer Class 1.
Between July 1994 and January 2017, did you suffer any kind of victimization, such as arrest, detention, or torture?
No, I've never been.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Kamara. That's the end of my questions for this witness. I will hand over to Mr. Chairman. for any additional questions from the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council, for that, and thank you, Mr. Kamara, for your testimony. Members of the Commission, you have any questions? Commissioner Kinte?
Mr. Kamara,
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Commissioner Kinde. You told us there were two moments or two places where these soldiers were shot or executed. You mentioned Nyambai Forest and Sifo, I suppose, Sifo Gardens or Forest, whatever. Did you know the numbers? You may not know all the numbers, all the names, because you were able to give few names in those affected at Nyambai, but you did not tell us the total number, if you know. And also at Sifo, how many soldiers were taken for execution? The numbers may be important in the records, if you do know.
I definitely cannot tell you the precise number of people that were executed, but I can tell you this: there were more than 10 officers and soldiers who were executed along these two places. And in the barracks, there were more than 10 to 15.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones?
Commissioner Jones, thank you very much, Kamara. I'm trying to understand, I have two questions. I'm trying to understand why the chairman of the council at the time would give you certain names to say that they should be shot at if they come to the army headquarters. To the best of your knowledge, do you remember, because you had said the other members of the soldiers were going to protest to boycott the Remembrance Day celebration. To the best of your knowledge, were this group of people mobilizing the soldiers to boycott this Remembrance Day? And then secondly, you said you were called to drive Captain Lawrence Jara to the Yundum Barracks. What was the purpose of his visit to the Yundum Barracks, if you know?
Okay. Your first question about why would he mention these particular officers. Okay. These are, I can tell you, the reason may be best known to him, but these are people that are very productive and people that were very interactive with the junior officers and soldiers. They were very productive personnel of the army at the time, and they will command vast number of soldiers. And I can tell you, it could be a fear factor of the chairman. He knows what he was doing at the time, and he knows these people who they were at the time. And the second question about Jara going to Yundum, it was command, when the commander is at somewhere and the junta at the time, all senior officers you cannot excuse yourself where you're supposed to be, because it might lead you into a trouble out of nothing. So that is why he has to be there.
Just to confirm, he was ordered to go to Yundum Barracks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carr?
Thank you, Chairman. I have two questions. The first is, did you notice any objection from the junta members or the senior members of the army when Sana was giving those orders that you spoke about? That's my first question. The second is, you said the executions were carried out by the junta members. Do you know of any role that the other senior officers played during that particular time you were talking about?
Can you repeat your first question, please?
You said Sana was giving orders for people to be arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Did you see any form of objection from the other senior members, senior army members who were there?
At the time, the senior officers, they are not to challenge Sana's orders because they will fall a victim at that point in time. Sana was on top of everything. Nobody dare challenge his orders at the time. And the second question, what do you say, sorry?
you mentioned that the executions were carried out by the junta members.
Yeah, whether any senior officer also
They played
participated.
other roles, yes, during that particular moment.
No, I haven't seen any senior officer. They were just present there because they have to be there, but they did not carry anything, to be honest.
Thank you, Commissioner Jallo. Please have the floor.
Commissioner Jallo, you mentioned that whilst you were in the signal room, you received message from Yaya Jammeh, informed the commander to shoot at those 8 officers if they stepped in using force. Do you remember the name of the commander to whom you gave the instruction?
No, I mentioned I definitely could not remember the name of the guard commander at the time because the guards come from 3 different locations, so I couldn't actually remember who was the guard commander at the time at the headquarters. To be honest, I could not remember the name of the guard commander.
But Mr. Kamara, you faced this man directly. Did you call him or did you face him and tell him what the command was?
Yes, I faced him, but remember this is 22 years ago or 24 years ago. I wish I could remember the name. I've tried to, since when I started coming here, I was trying to recall as much as I could of the names of all those persons that I mentioned here. I pick up some along the line, but I still could not remember this guard commander's name. And I don't want to just speculate.
Thank you very much. Commissioner C. Imam C, you have the floor.
Kamara, li ma lay laaj mooy ñetti néew yooyu naka lañ mujjee woon ak ñoom.
What I want to ask
ñetti néew yi nga gisoon noonu.
what
Faafa ñang ak ñaari ñi fa ñëw.
happened to the 3 corpses you
naka lañ
saw?
mujjee woon ak ñoom.
What eventually happened to those corpses?
Okay. Those 3 dead bodies I saw, I definitely could not stand and watch them again because these are people that I was very close to. So when I look at the 2 dead bodies in the truck and I saw Fafanya on the ground, I could not stood there. I just have to go back to the office and later find my way out of the area. So I learned that they were buried at Yundum. I think the commissioners you have once visited, I don't know, but I heard you made a visit to Yundum. They were buried at Yundum there.
Thank you very much. There are no further questions. Oh, Bishop, sorry, I'm not able to see you from this side.
Thank you, Chairman. Warrant Officer Malang Kamara. Now, you worked from one day in the morning and you closed the next day in the afternoon. In the Army, do you have working hours?
Yes, we have working hours, but it's different in the military. I can be asked to work, like yesterday, for example. I supposed not to be at work, but when the need arises and you are called for duty, you have to go. Like yesterday, I was at work up till 9 o'clock before I could go home. So we don't have time for work. Which time do we close? There is a closing time, yes, 4 o'clock that we close. But it all depends of your assignment that you'll be having or you'll be assigned to do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are no further questions. Officer Kamara, thank you very much for your testimony. Just have one last question. What was the overall impact of the executions on morale at the various ranks within the armed forces that you're aware of?
Mr. Chairman, it's definitely heartbreaking with what happened on November 11th. It was one of the darkest days of the Gambia Armed Forces, the history of the Gambia Armed Forces and Gambia as a whole. And that definitely, it was, the morals were definitely went down very, very low as to what happened, the arrest and the summary execution of our officers and other ranks, you know. So it was, the morals were actually very down.
Thank you very much. Do you have any concluding remarks to make? If you do, please go ahead.
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, distinguished commissioners, lead councillor and councillors, secretary, the team of investigators, and all members of the TRRC. I'd firstly like to thank you for the wonderful job you are doing to help the country establish a historical record of human rights abuses and to end impunity that gripped our beloved country for the past 2 decades. This is a moment that we, the progressive elements of the armed and security service, have been waiting to see. Growing up in the village of Fatoto, I saw firsthand that I was blessed with a country that provided me with a progressive foundation based on values of peace, love, respect for human dignity, and opportunity to progress. This was based on my observation of progress made by brothers I look up to in Fatoto as role models. The progress brothers like former Commander Ibrahima Kamara and Lieutenant, now Dr. Bineminte, in the then Gambia National Gendarmerie. Most of us in Fatoto that we have a country to be proud of. Many other brothers from Fatoto made progress in other sectors as education, healthcare, and other sectors of civil society. My purpose of joining the Army was to serve my country that I love so much, and this love is driven by the cherished foundational values that my beloved country laid for me. Even though I was a junior soldier, I can still remember how we were all proud of our country, respected each other, treated each other well, and embraced a sense of community based on love for one another. Yes, there were institutional problems, but that doesn't warrant a military coup in the country. When the APRC seized power on July 22nd, 1994, that was when everything changed in this country. I was able to conclude from the onset that things would never be the same again. I was sad, confused, and had this feeling that my beloved country had landed on an unknown path. As young and confused as I was, it was evident to me that arresting and detaining our elders and notable senior public officials was wrong. I knew it was wrong to detain our senior commanders and other officers of security services. The event of November 11, 1994, were the day when all my fears about my beloved country were truly manifested. This was the day the military junta committed some of the worst forms of crimes against humanity ever known to a country that I love so much. When productive officers and soldiers were summarily executed on no just cause, Mr. Chairman, it was all wrong for the military junta to embark on extrajudicial executions, and it was wrong for the senior officers at the time not making any effort to stop the savagery and brutality of those horrific events, as genuine as I may have been at the time. I knew the right thing to do under those circumstances was to use military due process of the law that would be court-martial than to take the law into their own hands. Mr. Chairman, my beloved country is not deserving of the horrors of November 11, 1994, and all other horrors that followed. These horrors will continue to be part of our darkest history as a country. Mr. Chairman, our culture and values as a nation indeed promote forgiveness. Yes, we will forgive, and I truly forgive anyone who knowingly or unknowingly did me wrong, and I am asking for forgiveness from anyone I may have done any wrong in the past 2 decades. However, for my beloved country to be truly able to guarantee our reconciliation efforts in reconciliation efforts, I encourage this commission to set an example by bringing those responsible for committing horrific and heinous crimes to face the full force of the law. Only by emphasizing justice under such circumstances can never again campaign take its roots. I also recommend that the bodies of our gallant officers and men be recovered and be given a proper befitting burial. Mr. Chairman, distinguished commissioners and councillors, my last 2 decades in the Army has taught me a lot. My experience of serving in the international peacekeeping showed me that our National Army and other security service need reform to effectively fulfill its commitment and obligation to the nation. We need an army that is not informed by tribe or loyalty to one man or group of people has witnessed in the past. We need an army that is answerable to the state and the Constitution. Reforms of the armed and the security services must therefore be emphasis on training to build their capacity as servants of the people. This will require training in human rights, civic education, and public relations. Finally, I am appealing to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and the political leadership of the country to seriously look into the general welfare and terms and conditions of the Army and the entire security service of the country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May God bless the Gambia.
Thank you very much, Officer Camara, for those concluding remarks and for the useful suggestions that you have made. We wish you all the best in your career in the Gambia Armed Forces. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Council, we lined up for the afternoon? Do we have a witness lined up already?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have a witness lined up. We stand guided by you as to how we proceed. Perhaps at the risk of the Ghanaians blaming me for always announcing the lunch break, I think it's about time we take the break and we resume at, it's going to 1. We can do 1 hour and we resume at 2:30 and, so 1:30 or 1:40 as the chair pleases, so that we could have enough time for the next witness. It is very likely that his testimony would span over 2 days. But if we start earlier, it is possible we may be able to cram it all in the short time that we have. But we stand guided by your decision, Mr. Chairman.
That's a nice way of putting it. I always was the one guilty of preempting the council, but today I think you preempted me. Yes, indeed, we will take a break now and come back at 2:30. That is okay, Commissioners. You don't have any questions?
Perhaps 2 o'clock, Mr. Chairman?
2:30. You want to come a bit earlier?
I'm sorry, I forgot prayer time, 2 o'clock, so let's say 2:30 then.
Yeah, you need to reconnect with the Lord.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. Meeting is adjourned. We resume at 2:30. Thank you. Thank you.
I, John C.B. Mendy,
I, John C.B. Mendy,
do swear that
do swear that
I will speak the truth,
I will speak the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the
and
truth.
nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. We have met already. My name is Esa Fal, and I'll be leading you through your evidence before this commission. Do you understand?
Thank you.
And I would ask you some questions centering mainly on 7 topics. That's your biographical information, the July 22nd, 1994 coup d'etat, the detention of senior security personnel and their subsequent torture at Mile 2 prison, the harassment and beating of Mr. O.J. Jallow and other politicians at Mile 2 prisons when they were made to crawl, some of the attacks on civilians who were perceived to be obstructing the convoy of the then Deputy Chairperson, Sana Sabali, the events of November 10th, 11, and 12, then the arrest of Sana Sabali and Sadibu Haidara, your own arrest as well, and subsequent detention in Mile 2 prison. You are familiar with these topics, aren't you?
I do.
So these are the issues I would like you to address in your testimony. And now let's start with your biographical information. What are your full names, please?
My name is John Charles B. Mendy.
What is your date of birth?
1st May 1972.
Where were you born?
Tujereng. I was born in Tujereng, village Combo South.
Where did you do your primary school education?
Tujereng Primary School, later to Bakote Primary School.
Kindly allow for a brief moment, at least 3 seconds, between our speeches so that there is no overlap with the interpretation. You understand?
Thank you.
You did primary school at Tujereng Primary School. Can you tell us which years you attended Tujereng Primary?
I attended Tujereng Primary School very late, starting from 1991 to, well, starting from 1981 to 85.
And then you attended secondary school, didn't you?
I do.
Where?
St. Teresa's Secondary Technical School.
Which years?
From 1986 to 1990, 91.
What did you do upon completion of secondary school?
I didn't do anything. I went straight to the army.
And you enlisted in the army, if I understand you, correct?
Yes.
Which intake did you belong to?
15 intake.
And when was that intake enlisted? Do you recall the date?
Yes.
Kindly tell us, please.
Yes. On the 27th January, 1991.
And how long was the duration of your training?
4 months.
And what rank did you attain upon completion of your training?
I resigned as a private.
And which company were you deployed?
Bravo Company. Then AHQ camp.
Who was the commander, the platoon commander, and the company commander in the companies that you belong to, or the platoons you belong to, for that matter?
Not only one, because it is subjected to a change. Sometimes they will change.
Upon completion of your training, initial training.
Upon completion of my training, I was posted to Bravo Company, in which Captain Johnson was the company commander, my company commander.
Who was your platoon commander?
My platoon commander, I cannot recall the first person, but my sergeant major was Ba.
Did you remain in Bravo Company until 1994, or did you have reason to move to some other unit within the Army?
No, I didn't remain until 1994, because I was moved in 1993 to AHQ camp.
We are not conversant with some of these military acronyms, so could you tell us what that means?
It stands as Army Headquarters Camp.
In which unit of the Army Headquarters Camp?
I was moved to the Finance Department.
And you worked in the Finance Department until July 22nd, 1994, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall that day, Mr. Witness?
Which day?
And could you tell us what, July 22nd, 1994?
July 22nd, 1994 was on a Friday.
Could you tell us the events of that day?
That day?
Yes, July 22nd, 1994. Tell us what happened on that day.
July 22nd, 1994. Soldiers turned against the regime that was there, that is Alhaji Sadauda's regime, to overthrow him.
do you know how this overthrow came to happen? Do you know whether there was any planning, how that was done?
No, I didn't know whether there was a planned coup d'etat. I didn't know that. Before the date, I didn't know whether there was a planned coup d'etat.
Do you know a military coup d'etat occurred, of course, on July 22nd? Do you know how that came about? Do you know the genesis of that coup d'etat?
Not that I know all the genesis led to what led to the coup d'etat. But as a soldier and within soldiers, sometimes you hear them grumbling that soldiers are neglected at that time. You hear colleagues saying it, others may not say that, but you used to hear these things.
Did you hear anything about a plan to overthrow the then government of Sir Dawda Jawara?
Before 94? Before July 22nd, 1994?
Yes.
No.
Mr. Witness, we have your witness statement. And do you recall giving a statement at all?
I do.
Do you have a copy of that statement with you?
Yes, I have a copy.
I would also send you the signed copy that we have. We would want you to verify that that's the signed copy of the statement that you gave. Can you take a look at it quickly and verify whether it's the statement that you have given?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'd imagine that the copy you have with you is the same as this one that we have, correct?
Yes.
The question I asked you was whether you had any idea that there was a plan to overthrow the government, and then you indicated no. Is that the position?
You asked me July 22nd.
Yes, 1994.
This is why I said no. But, you know, the coup d'etat starts on 21st.
No, the question is whether you heard or learned about a plan to overthrow the government.
On the 20,
does not matter whether it was going to be on the 21st or the 22nd. Don't speak over me. Okay. I would also avoid speaking over you. Otherwise, it would look like a quarrel, which is not happening, and we wouldn't hear each other. The interpreters wouldn't also, they wouldn't hear what we are saying. The interpretation would be difficult. Okay. So let's learn that discipline of allowing one another to speak. Okay? Good. The question is, did you learn about a plan to overthrow the Jawara government sometime in July 1994? And please put aside this statement. If you need to read from the statement or to look at it, I would let you do that. All right?
Okay.
Can you now answer the question?
I didn't. I knew about it on the 21st.
And what did you learn about it on the 21st?
That some soldiers were disarmed at the airport, and they were trying to take over the country.
Do you know who initiated that plan to overthrow the government?
It is after the takeover.
The question is, do you know? The question is not, when did you know? The question is, do you know whether there was a plan, or do you know who initiated the plan to overthrow the government?
I didn't know whether there was a plan prior to that, but I know who initiated it after the takeover, when that was the time that I was told.
Yes, Mr. Mendy. Let's try not to make it difficult. The question is, did you at any point in time come to know who initiated the idea to overthrow the government?
Yes.
Kindly tell us.
I came to know who initiated the plan, and the individual is Sana Sabali and Edward Singate.
Can you tell us how you came to know that information?
Yes, it was a chat between me and Sana after the takeover.
So it was only subsequently that Sana Sabali told you that he initiated the coup d'etat. That's what you're telling us?
Yes.
In your statement, let me refer you to paragraph 3.
Paragraph?
3 of your statement, and I would read it out and confirm to me whether what is contained there is true. Here you say, the idea about a takeover was initiated by Sana Sabali and Edward Singate, who took it upon themselves to invite other members, Sadibu Haidara, Kababajo, Yankuba Ture, and Yaya Jame. Is that correct?
No, Kababajo is not there.
Of course, Kababajo was subsequently invited. But okay, we delete Kababajo from this statement. And it would read, the idea about a takeover was initiated by Sana Sabali and Edward Singate, who took it upon themselves to invite other members, Sadibu Haidara, Yankuba Ture, and Yaya Jame. Is that it?
Yes.
So in here, what is missing is how you got the information and at what stage, right?
Yes.
And it is your testimony that you were given this information by Sana Sabali subsequently, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall when he gave you that information?
No, I can't recall.
Okay. You are telling us about the 21st of July 1994. Can you tell us what happened that day, as far as you can recall?
I was on duty at the Army headquarters when I heard that some soldiers were disarmed at the airport. That was on the 21st.
That's all you have to say about the events of that day?
Yeah, because I was not there, please. I was not at the airport.
What we are trying to get is all the information you received about the events of that day. That's all you had?
Yes, that's all I had.
And did you hear anything else about what was to happen the next day?
No.
Kindly tell us.
I said no, I didn't hear what was supposed to happen the next day.
Okay, again, I'll take you to your statement.
Yes.
Paragraph 4. You said, following the incident at the airport, July 21st, 1994, and after a tip-off that some soldiers were planning to overthrow the president, Jawara's government, all those present at the airport were disarmed, and there was news that those behind the move were to be arrested the next day. Did you say that to the investigators?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you say that here as your testimony? Do you accept that as your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. And you went on to say that those behind the move were to be arrested the next day. So out of fear of being arrested, Sana and Edward rushed to Yundum Barracks in the very early hours of Friday morning, July 22nd, and arrested the adjutant, Sirif Gomez. Did you say that to the investigators?
Yes.
So you knew that something else happened after the disarming of the soldiers at the airport, correct?
Yes, I knew about it. That was on the 21st.
Exactly, and this is what I am trying to drive at. I want to help you to narrate your story. If you don't answer the questions, we would find a way to get it out of you. So it would help and it would be faster if you just answer the questions. If you don't understand the question, ask me to repeat or to explain it, and I will explain it, all right?
Okay.
Good. Tell us about the events that happened subsequent to the arrest of Sirif Gomez.
When a move was taken from the airport and they were disarmed, they let them go. At night, they regrouped themselves.
Who is they that you are referring to?
Singate and Sabali. They regrouped themselves, come to the barracks. Early hours of the morning, when adjutant used to come very early to work. When he come, unknowingly to him that these people are in the barracks. When he come, Singate come out and halted him and then arrested him. According to what I was told, because I was not there at that time.
At what stage did you come to learn that a coup was in the making?
21st, July 21st.
On the morning of July 22nd, how did you come, or at what stage did you come to learn that the coup that was already foiled on July 21st is still ongoing?
I was at Banjul when I learned that the coup is still going on, and I had to leave my office in Banjul, go home, dressed, and join them.
Dressed in what?
In uniform.
When you were in Banjul,
I was not in uniform.
Just allow.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we have to get that discipline. You're a soldier, that shouldn't be difficult. Okay, so why did you do that? Why did you leave your place of work, go back home to change in military uniform?
I just feel to join my colleagues.
You wanted to participate in
Yeah,
the
I
coup
wanted to
d'etat.
participate, to be quite candid.
Good. And when you changed into military uniform, where did you go?
I go straight to Yundum Barracks.
And do you recall what time you arrived at Yundum Barracks?
I cannot recall the time that I arrived there, but I think it's around after 1, 11, 12, 1. I cannot recall the time.
In the afternoon?
Yeah, around in the afternoon. Between morning and the afternoon. Around 11 to 1. Around 11 to 1.
At this time you arrived at the barracks, who did you find there?
I find few soldiers, and already by then the adjutant was already been arrested, has been arrested, and I didn't meet Sana there. I didn't meet Singate there. They've already moved out from Yundum Barracks to go to Fajara Barracks.
And what did you do upon learning that the coup leaders were not at the barracks?
I just, at that time, anybody who comes to the barracks, he will just get his wife with him. That is
His what?
Wife, that is weapon.
Oh, you call it wife?
Yes, it's your personal wife.
Okay, I hope you treat your wife nicely.
Sure.
Good. So you retrieved your wife, and then what happened?
You just move out. If you go out, if you see any vehicle, you just jump on it, and then you follow them.
So tell us what you did upon taking your weapon.
I just jump on a vehicle, move straight, going to Banjul with I think some soldiers, up to Stink Corner, I think around Stink Corner.
Where did you find this vehicle that you jumped into?
Just an ordinary vehicles. We just stop them and then, jump on them.
You commandeered it?
Here, tell them that to either drive us. Some, when they see us, they just jump out of the vehicle. By then, I cannot drive, so I was not able to drive.
And who drove the vehicle then?
No, by that, the vehicle that we jumped in was driven by the owner.
And you forced him to take you wherever you wanted to go to at
Sure.
the time? Were you alone?
No, I was not alone, and I cannot recall the soldiers that I was with.
So you went up to Sting Corner. What happened there?
It's where I found Yaya Jame and some soldiers with him going towards the Denton Bridge.
Were they on foot or were they in a vehicle?
They were moving. The time I met them, they were moving on foot.
Did you jump out of the vehicle?
I did.
And
the driver turned back.
So you joined the group?
We joined the group.
Who was the leader of the group at the time?
Yahya Jammeh at that time.
Did you see Mr. Edward Singate at the time, Lieutenant Edward Singate at the time?
No.
How about Sana Sabali?
No.
Do you recall how many soldiers were with Yahya Jammeh at the time?
No, but there are a little bit many.
10?
Approximately 7 upwards.
7 upwards. 07 upwards.
Upwards, yeah.
To 30?
To maybe about 15 or so, but I cannot recall the number.
So was it about a section or was it a platoon?
No, it could be a section. Right? It's not a platoon.
And how many soldiers would constitute a platoon?
There are many. There are many.
How many soldiers will constitute a platoon?
I cannot recall now. cannot recall now.
15?
I say I cannot recall. I cannot recall.
I am trying to jog your memory here.
Yeah, I cannot recall.
You know, all right, no problem. So you don't know whether it was a platoon or a section, but there were more than 7.
More than 7 upwards.
But less than 15.
It could be, but it's more than 7 upwards. Because I didn't count them, I don't have time to count them, and I didn't put my attention to the number of people that we are moving with.
So you joined them at Sting Corner. What did you do
We
after
moved,
that?
sorry. We moved towards Banjul.
Yes, and what?
Upon arrival at Denton Bridge, we met Armeyago, Suare, who blocked the Denton Bridge. So Major Suare had a good relationship with Yaya Jammeh. They knew each other in Zandam and all those things. They went together, they take a distance. They were talking for so long, about 30 minutes or so, 20 to 30 minutes. And then, to my own understanding, Suare was overcome by Yaya Jammeh. And then he let us go.
Can you explain how Suare was overcome by Yaya Jammeh?
Because he refused us entry, and then he blocked Denton Bridge. So during their conversation, and then the bridge was open, automatically I know maybe Yaya Jammeh had convinced him, and then we were allowed to go to move. So what they were discussing and what he told him, I don't know.
At this stage, how many soldiers were in your group?
This is what I'm saying. I cannot count them. I cannot recall counting them, and I don't know how many of them. But there were many, a little bit.
Did the numbers increase compared to the group you joined at Sting Corner?
No, as we move, the number increases because they've already get control of Fajara Barracks, and they were moving towards Banjul. As we move, the number increases.
So ultimately, Suare opened the bridge and you were able to pass through?
Yes.
Right? And where did you go after crossing the bridge?
We will go straight to Banjul until when we reach at mile 2. We were informed that some prisoners were trying for them to be released to join us. But Yaya told them, no, you cannot be released. It's where at Denton, Mile 2 prison is where I met Cisse, the former director of NSS, and some senior officers of the prison department is where I met them. And some of them, their weapons were confiscated by Yaya Jammeh, and then he handed them on to me. I was handling them up to Banjul.
How about the officers from whom those weapons were seized? What happened to them?
They were in between us and Yaya Jammeh. Yaya Jammeh is in front, they are in the middle, and then we are behind them.
Were they tied at all?
Eh?
Were their hands tied at all?
No.
Were they free to go away?
They were not free to move away from where we are, but they are free to walk. they were walking freely.
They were captives, right?
Yes, they were walking freely, but they were not.
The question is whether they were captives, not whether they were walking freely.
No, they of course they were captives. They are termed as prisoners of war.
They were captives, I would
yes.
say. There was no war situation.
Yes,
so
there,
they
but
could
it's
not have
how
been.
The soldiers always pretend themselves as prisoners
So
of
you
war.
walked with them to Banjul, correct?
Yes.
And ultimately you arrived at State House. We have to expedite this.
No, from the Mile 2 prisons, we walk up to Bone Road. We had a gunshot. We had gunshot 1 or 2 times.
Was that friendly fire or was it enemy fire?
It was not a friendly fire.
So what was it?
It was an enemy fire.
Do you know who fired that shot, or did you later come to learn who fired that shot?
I later learned that somebody gave that order for them to fire at us.
Who was it that gave the order?
That Chongan was the one who gave that order.
What's the name again?
Chongan.
Okay. Who was Chongan?
Chongan was in the gendarmerie. During the amalgamation, he was moved to police headquarters.
Do you know what position he held at police headquarters?
He was a senior officer, though, at the police headquarters, but I didn't know.
Was anybody injured from those gunshots?
No.
And how did those gunshots impact the group that was led by Yaya Jammeh?
The moment we had 1 or 2 shots, everybody scattered, and then, we take positions, and then we started moving in bounds.
Can you explain what that means, moving
in bounds is moving, like few people will move, and then the others will...
It was a tactical maneuver, correct?
Tactical maneuver.
One group would move and another group will cover.
Cover and watch, yeah.
All right.
On both sides, until we reach this place, Arch 22.
Were there any more gunshots?
No, there were not.
Okay, you arrived at Gambia High School Junction.
Yes.
And then what happened from there onwards?
Then we moved to State House. We moved
Following which direction?
The hospital directions and the main highway. And others are on the seaside, on the beach side.
Independence Drive and Marina Parade.
And Marina Parade and the beach side.
And the beach side. Okay. Which group were you with?
I was with Yaya Jammeh.
And did you make any stop along the way?
The stop that we are making is just only tactical, military tactical stop.
Do you know Ministry of Justice?
To know Minister of Justice.
Do you know the Ministry of Justice premises?
Yes.
Did you stop anywhere around that area?
I cannot recall stopping.
Do you know whether along the way Jammeh had cause to talk to anybody on the phone?
At that time, telephone were not that much available. I don't know whether he has telephone or not.
I didn't suggest a mobile phone. I just said telephone. Do you know whether he had?
No, I don't.
All right. Your group obviously went through Marina Parade, right?
Yes.
And tell us what happened when you arrived at the gates of State House.
Before we arrived at the gate, we were told that the president had already left.
Who told you that?
The soldiers that we met at the gate.
Do you recall any name or
No,
names?
I don't know them because I was not conversant with State Guard personnel.
What happened after you were told that the president had already left State House?
That he has gone with, I think, I don't know whether the American embassy or the Senegal embassy towards the Ports Authority.
And what happened after that?
What happened after that? We entered inside, make a reorg. We've gathered together until everybody comes in.
Do you recall who opened the gate for your group to get in?
No, I can't recall. I can't recall.
Okay. So you went in?
Yes.
All the other groups arrived?
Joined, yes.
What happened after that?
What happened after that? The senior guys sit together. They were discussing. All of us, the juniors, were trying to guide the State House, trying to look each corner whether it is safe or it's not safe.
For how long did you remain at State House during this period?
Which period? The period of that day or what?
Yes.
For me, I could recall I only spent there nothing more than 4 hours.
So you went home that day, that same day?
I went home that same day.
And as at this time, do you know whether a government had been formed or not?
So I heard.
Tell us what you heard.
I heard that they formed a government. And before forming a government, there was a push and pull.
Between who?
Between Yaya Jammeh, Sana Sabali, Edward Singate, Sadibou Haidara.
And what was the push and pull about?
Who is going to be the leader?
Do you know how it was resolved?
Yeah, it was resolved. They take everything into military. They said, we are still military officers and we have to work according to what military says, is seniority. That is how they resolve things.
And who became the leader, as far as you can recall?
Because when they, at first, what they told me, they said they choose Yaya Jammeh to become the leader. And Yaya said no, because he was not the one who suggested the takeover, that Sana Sabali should be the chairman. And Sana said, no, you are the most senior. You should be the chairman. That was the push and pull. When they selected Sana Yaya Jammeh, then who is going to be the vice chairman? That was where the problem comes from. Singate wanted to be the vice chairman, but because Sana Sabali seniored him, he's supposed to be the vice chairman. That was where the push and pull comes in.
Of course, you told us that you weren't present. This is something that you heard from other soldiers, correct? Indicate by a yes or no. The transcript would not recognize any nodding.
What do you say?
Indicate your answer
repeat what you asked me.
Okay. The question is, of course, you are not present. This is information that you heard from other people, correct?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Did you return to State House at any time after this July 22nd?
No, I didn't.
When was the first time you returned to State House after this event?
It was when I was discovered that I am at GPMB.
I don't understand. Could you say that again?
I said the time that I recall returning back to the State House, it was when I was asked to become the vice chairman's orderly.
But between the time you were asked to be vice chairman's orderly and July 22nd, where were you working between those 2 dates?
At that time, most of the soldiers don't have permanent posts. You just get up, you move somewhere else. You just get up and move somewhere else. But then, you know, I was living in Banjulding at that time. But most of the time, I'm always at Banjulding police station. From when I left Banjulding police station, after 2-3 days, I went to Banjul. I was at the GPMB all along.
What were you doing at GPMB?
That was where I was.
That is where you were posted?
No, I was, nobody, at that time, nobody tells you that you are posted here.
What were you doing at GPMB?
I was just there as a guard because my office was just next to GPMB.
So you were one of those deployed to guard GPMB, correct?
No.
You were not deployed to guard GPMB?
No, I was not deployed.
How did you happen to go there?
I used to go and then have nights sleep there.
Why?
Yes. Anyway, that is how I used to be at that place. I will just be at the army headquarters when I'm not on duty. When the time comes, I'll just go and sleep there. I feel it was more comfortable than even the army headquarters at that time. You have air condition all over. So I feel it's more conducive for me to go and sleep there.
I just want to understand what was happening at the time. You work at army headquarters, and close of business, you go to sleep at GPMB. Is that what you're telling us?
I do sometimes, but not all the time.
Was there a house at GPMB where you could sleep?
No, offices. There are offices, comfortable offices to sleep.
How did you have access to those offices?
The offices were open. Nobody had control over anything down there.
So you just walk into somebody's office?
You just walk into an office that is not locked.
The air conditioner and just...
And sleep.
Okay. But where were you working officially at this time?
Officially? When I left Army headquarters, I used to go there, but officially I don't have a permanent workplace at that time.
So each morning, where would you report for work?
There was no reporting at that time.
So you just go anywhere you wanted?
There was no reporting at that time, to be quite candid.
Okay. At what stage did you decide to start reporting somewhere for work?
It was when I was caught by the army commander at GPMB to become the vice president's then orderly.
What were they doing at GPMB?
They came for a visit. I don't know whether he got a tip of that I am there or not. But when he come, I just get up from bed, stand on top.
From bed?
Yeah.
There's a bed at the GPMB?
You can use a mat and make it as a bed, as long as you are comfortably sleep.
Tell us exactly.
There is no bed, but you know, the reason why I said get up from bed is where I slept. That's why I said get up from
And
bed.
what was that?
That was in the morning.
What was that?
What I was sleeping with, or
what you were sleeping on, what was it?
You can sleep from the chairs. There are chairs that we sleep on. There are mats, and you have some sponges too.
Okay. So you woke up and what happened?
I woke up. I just looked down. I saw Sana's convoy entered. I tried to maneuver. He has already seen me on top because I was on top there. He has already seen me. He said, I have been looking for you for so long. Come down, come down. I just walked down, washed my face, walked down. Then Baji was the army commander then.
Which Baji?
Momodu Baji. Momodu Baji.
Do you know what he does at the moment? What work he does at the moment?
Yeah, I think he's the military advisor or so, something like that.
To
of
who?
the president.
To the current president?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
All right. And then what happened?
When I come down, Sana told him that I need JCB as my my orderly. I said no.
To who did you say that?
To Sana. I said no, but I have to go and inform my boss. I just tell him that I have to go and inform my boss. He said no.
Did you tell him no, or did you tell him no, I have to go and inform my boss?
No, I said I told him no, I have to go and inform my boss.
And what did
my
he
immediate
say to
boss?
that?
He said no. The army commander said no. JCB, I am the army commander, and from now, immediately you are his orderly. I was just trying to dodge away from that responsibility, but it is the army. When I say no, I may be charged.
But you already did say no.
Yes, I just say no, but I don't have powers more to pass that. So I had to accept. And then from there, then Babukar Njai was his bodyguard.
Okay. How many days after the takeover did this event take place?
It's almost about maybe after 1 week or so. 1 week or 7, 8 days or so.
Do you know why you were chosen to be his orderly?
I didn't know, but the only thing that I may say the reason why I am chosen is to go by my records, because I was a hard-working soldier, obedient, neat personnel. I am a neat somebody. I like dressed, neatly going to work, and I don't go to work late.
And you are tough also.
Huh?
Tough?
No, I was not that much tough. No, I was not that much tough. By that time, I was slim.
Unfit?
No, I was not that even fit.
How would you make it in the army if you were not fit?
You can make it in the army when you are, sometimes you are not that much physically fit, but you are strong.
Okay. And you want to tell, I don't want to ask you about the difference. So let's move on. You are selected to be his orderly, and you were there with who?
I am there with Babukar Njai.
Which Babukar Njai?
Babukar Njai, it's the same Babukar. You only have one Babukar Njai. We have Babukar Njai and Baba Njai.
Okay. And Babukar Njai, is he known by any other name?
No. He is known as Dichep, but I now understand that they call him Njai Ponkal. But we call him Njai Dichep.
Njai what?
Dichep.
Dichep.
Chep Katla.
Okay, I understand. No Surladal.
Yeah, that is his nickname that we know him of. I'm just hearing this Njai Ponkal within here.
Okay. Do you know why he is described as Njai Ponkal?
Yeah, maybe because his size. He used to lift heavy weight. Maybe
He's
because
big?
of his size. That's why he's called Njai Ponkal.
How do you compare to him in size?
No, in size, before he is more heftier than me and more stronger than me.
Good. And who else?
Baba Njai.
Is he known by any other name?
B.A.
B.A. Njai, right?
Yes.
Who else?
Zakaria Sise.
Who else?
Albert Gomez, the late.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and then you go to the drivers, Dembo Jiba, Alkali Jalo, Lamin Drame.
Lamin Drame. So what were your responsibilities? By the way, before that, Zakaria, what was his last name?
Zakaria Dabo.
Earlier on you said Cisse, so
No,
which is
then,
correct?
You know, my boss was Zakaria Cisse, so my mind went straight to him. I know maybe you know him.
No, I don't. You referring to Zakaria Dabo or Zakaria Cisse?
I'm referring to Zakaria Dabo.
Good. So what were your responsibilities as members of SANA's security detail?
Our responsibility is to safeguard him as the vice president of the country.
Vice chairman.
Vice chairman of the country.
And what else?
That is our responsibility.
How about with regards to his convoy?
It's all about safeguarding his life.
How about his convoy?
This is what I'm saying. His convoy is all involved about, what do you mean by how about his convoy?
What responsibilities did you have with regards to his convoy when he travels?
Is to safeguard his life.
Besides that responsibility, what other responsibilities did you have?
Is to safeguard his life. We
Well,
don't have any responsibility beside that.
Okay, we will find a way. Was it your responsibility to clear the way so that the convoy wouldn't be obstructed?
Yes.
And with regards to ensuring that the convoy was not obstructed, did you receive any instructions from SANA as to what to do to ensure that the road was clear for his convoy?
Yeah, the instruction given to us is make sure we enforce what was lacking in the Gambia. That's number one. Number two, anybody who obstructs us and refuse to get off from the road whilst silence is on, we get him off from the way.
By what means?
By all means.
Including shooting at the person?
Not shooting at the person, but we can burst the tire of the individual's vehicle.
What about when the person is not in a vehicle?
The person is not in a vehicle. No, that mandate, I have never ever received that mandate.
Okay. You were asked to clear the road by all means, correct? Including by firing at vehicles to immobilize them, right?
To stop their movement.
Okay, we would accept that. And did you and your colleagues do that as instructed?
Personally, me, I did one.
Can you tell us about it?
Yes. We were going to the airport to receive a guest, in which we found out that the flight is already on the ground. We were rushing. Whilst moving with our sirens on to sweep the way, from Bova Zone, we met, we follow one car that we were forcing him to get out from the road, but he refuses. I don't know whether he refused or he didn't refuse, or whether he had it or he didn't hear it, but he didn't get away from the road from buffer zone until around Cow Junction is where we managed to sweep him off from the road. We get down. Personally, I am among the people who get down, rush on him, and is a person that I happen to know. I yield on them, my other colleagues. They stopped. I went to him, I tell him that what are you doing like this? Huh? I went and then burst his vehicle tire. And then we move to the airport, trying to diffuse the tension.
Mr. Witness, I would give you the warning. We have given it to you earlier, and on several interviews we have warned you that it is a criminal offense to lie before the Commission of Inquiry, and that it is also a criminal offense to give a false statement to the Commission. I'll just repeat that to you so that there is no misunderstanding as to whether you've been adequately warned or not. Do you understand me?
100% I understood.
Okay, good. This incident that you're referring to, do you know who is the person affected, the victim?
I know.
What is his name?
His name is John Jai.
Was John Jai beaten at all during this incident?
I am not aware or remember him being beaten.
Mr. Witness, you are the first to get to the witness. That's what you told the Commission, correct? You are the first to get to John Jai in the car. That's what you told us.
I told you when the convoy stopped, all the bodyguards disembarked from the vehicle, rushed onto him. I sat on them. I went to him and told him that, John Jai, what you are doing is not good. Leave the way for the sirens. And I burst his tire.
You shot his tire?
I shot on his tire.
Yes. Yeah. Was John Jai beaten at all?
I am not aware of him beaten.
But how could you not be aware? You were there, standing there. If John Jai was beaten, you certainly would have known.
If he is beaten and I know that he is beaten, I'll tell you that he is beaten, my lord.
So answer the question. Was he beaten or was he not beaten?
I said I am not aware of him being beaten.
So do I take that to mean that he was not beaten at all?
Fine. I'm okay with that.
It's your choice.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
Was he beaten or was he not beaten?
I said I am not aware of him being beaten.
So we take it that he was not beaten. That is your answer.
Fine.
No. Is that your answer?
My answer is I haven't seen him being beaten.
Thank you. We would move on. Then how about, was that the only incident you witnessed, that of John Jai?
No.
Can you tell us which other incident you witnessed?
The second one I could call is the last one that I can recall. It may happen that there are some that I cannot recall, but the ones that I'm recalling is what I am saying now. Is the one at Abuko. The one at Abuko, I think, is on Thursday, on a Thursday. On a Thursday, 26, 27, I think it's on 25th, on a Thursday.
Of 25th of which?
January.
Of which year?
1995.
Yes, and what happened on that day?
From Brikama, we went to Sana's naming ceremony. We were coming up to Abuko, where they sell rams. I was inside Sana's vehicle. There was a sweeper in front. all of a sudden I saw some funny movement. I saw a car that make a U-turn and then come and then pass us. And then the sweeper turned and then followed the car. When they followed the car, we turned to.
When you say we turned to, who are you referring to?
I refer the person that I am guarding, that is Sana, and the driver.
So you were in the same vehicle with Sana Sabali and his driver?
And his driver. And
Sana Sabali being the vice chairman?
Yes.
The deputy chairman of the APRC
yes.
at the time?
Yes.
Okay. So you and Sana turned and joined the chase, correct?
Yes. Okay. We joined the chase until at Lamen, I think around King's Club. I cannot remember which junction, but it's around that end. It's where we met them. I met them. The escort, the sweeper, already apprehended this gentleman. But by the time we reached there, me personally, I know he was roughly handled.
What do you mean by roughly handled?
Like a gentleman, I know that individual was a gentleman, but the way I found him was not favorable.
Can you cut through the chase, call a spade a spade? Tell us what happened to him.
No, because I met him already. They've apprehended him, get him into the car, but his shots and all those things was rough.
Mr. Witness, was he beaten?
I cannot tell you that he was beaten because I met them already sorry. I cannot tell you that he was beaten because I didn't meet them beating him. But I know the way I saw his shot and all those things, it was rough. And he was not like that. I know he was not like that from home.
So did you see him when he left his house?
I didn't, but I know that that type of dress and that type of shirt, a gentleman will not dress like that.
Did you participate in beating him, the gentleman?
No.
We have a report here.
Yes.
It's from the NIA,
okay.
And it is a report of the investigations into incidents involving Sana Sabali and others. Yeah. And the report said that Mr. Tekanyi, Ablai Tekanyi, I will just read it out so you would hear about it. Incidents of assault by Sana Sabali. This is, by the way, some of the materials we have received from the NIA. We bringing the original. It would be showed to you. In order to gain time, I will read out what is contained here. It says, one Ablai Tekanyi had been assaulted by Captain Sabali and his escorts at Lamin. You were one of his escorts, I imagine, correct?
Yes.
The tires were shot at, and he was seriously beaten up, allegedly for failing to give way to the vice chairman on the highway. Mr. Tekanyi was charged for the offense of dangerous driving contrary to Section 47 and 49 of the Motor Traffic Act, Cap 70.03, Volume 7 of the Laws of the Gambia 1990. He was convicted and sentenced to a fine of $1,000 by the Kanifing Magistrates Court. This is the incident you're referring to, isn't it?
Yes.
And the report said Mr. Tekanyi was seriously beaten. You deny that?
I'm not aware of him being beaten.
Mr. Witness, are you saying this to shield yourself from responsibility, considering that Mr. Tekanyi was assaulted?
Why will I conceal that?
You may want to answer that question.
This is what I'm telling you. I am not concealing it because I am telling you that I am not aware of him being beaten.
So this report
because
is false?
Huh?
This report that I am reading from, saying that Mr. Tekanyi was beaten by Mr. Sana Sabali and his escorts, which includes you, you're suggesting that this report is false?
For me, I didn't beat him and I didn't see him being beaten. It could be he was beaten before my arrival. It could be.
Mr. Chair, we would circulate the report, but we would not put it in evidence now. We would just mark it for identification, and later when the NIA officials come before you, we would formally put it in evidence. But for now, we mark it for identification. Let the witness see that this is the report from which I have read.
Thank you, Counsel. I think the witness should have the opportunity to see it first.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. It is page 7, Mr. Witness, page 7. Under the heading, Incidents of Assault by Sana Sabali, the entire report is a report of the investigation into the events of January 27, 1995, thus recase of former Vice Chairman Sana Sabali and others. I am referring to page 7.
Page 7.
Have you seen it?
The incident of assault by Sana Sabali.
That's right. Have you seen it?
Yes.
That is, I have read out only the first paragraph and the first sentence of the second paragraph under that heading. That since the beating of Mr. Tekanyi and shooting of his tires by Sana Sabali and his escorts, issues put in evidence before the presiding magistrate in the trial of Mr. Tekanyi was overlooked. That is the part I am reading about. The important thing there is that Mr. Tekanyi was seriously beaten. So you deny that Mr. Tekanyi was seriously beaten?
I didn't. I said before my arrival, he was already apprehended. It could be he was beaten before my arrival. I didn't say he is not beaten there. But I am saying before I reached, he was already apprehended, and I saw that he was roughly handled. Is what I said.
Okay, no problem, Mr. Witness. Put it any which way you want. The point that I'm trying to make here is that Mr. Tekanyi was seriously beaten, and here you are trying to dodge the fact that Mr. Tekanyi was beaten. First, John Jai, you said you do not know that whether he was beaten or not, even though you are the first to arrive on the scene. Now, Mr. Tekanyi, you don't know whether he was beaten. That is where we are at the moment, correct?
Yes.
Good. Let us proceed. Tell us about the woman at Latirkunda Mampatokoto who was selling boiled potatoes along the road.
I am just hearing that today.
Miss Dola Ba was shot for allegedly obstructing the convoy of Sana Sabali. What do you say to that?
I am just hearing that today.
How about Fasise at Mandinari?
I am just hearing that today.
How about the incident at Old Joswang where you are alleged to have shot at the tire of the person driving the vehicle? What do you say to that?
It could be possible, but I cannot remember.
How about the Nyambai Forest incident in which you were also alleged, together with a BNJ, to have shot at the tire of the driver? What do you say to that?
Nyambai Forest?
Nyambai Forest.
I cannot remember.
How about... Yes. So you cannot remember any of these incidents. You cannot remember anybody beaten during these incidents. That is your testimony?
Yes.
Good. Just remember that other witnesses would be called, and if it turns out that you are lying, we have explained the law to you, correct?
Thank you.
Wonderful. Now let's talk about an incident at Serekunda police station where you were sent by Sana Sabali to go and pick somebody and bring the person to his house. Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us about the event?
We went to work and then close by 9 upwards. We were called by Sana Sabali and said there is somebody at Serakunda police station who was using booths, telephone booth by then, calling the president and then insulting him. We went. Upon arrival at Serakunda police station, we explained ourselves, and they saw us, the gentleman. He was at, I think, at the cell or over the counter. One of them, that I cannot recall, I cannot remember. We collected him, take him to Sana. Upon arrival, we hand him over to Sana. Sana asked him some few questions. Why do you have to be calling the president and insulting him also and like over the telephone and all that? The man didn't respond. So he gave us an order to punish him, and in which we did. We gave him a military punishment.
What was that?
Military punishment is squat. You force individual to squat, to press up, do frog jump, crawl.
And beating?
Beating.
Essentially, you tortured the man.
Even by crawling is a way of torturing in the military.
And you participated in
yes,
that?
I did.
Good. Thank you very much. We would move on to another topic. We have dealt with the shooting of Dolaba at Latrikunda Mampatokoto. You cannot recall conveniently. Abdullah Tekani, you were present. You don't know whether he was beaten, even though he looked visibly manhandled. Fasise at Mandinari, you cannot recall that. The New Josuang incident in which you were alleged to have shot at the tire of the driver, you said maybe, maybe not, you cannot recall. The incident at Nyambai Forest, you cannot recall. This is the state of affairs, but you remember torturing the person who was removed from Serekunda police station and taken to Sana Sabali's house. You agree to that?
I agree to that.
Good. Thank you. Now let's move on to other issues. The security detainees who are in Mile 2 prison, do you know anything about those people?
No.
Did you ever have occasion to be deployed to Mile 2 to guard anybody?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
It was just after, I think, about 2 or 3 days after the takeover, and some senior officers were arrested, detained at Mile 2. I was there for almost, I think, about 2 days with them, guarding them.
Did you come to know who they were?
I know some of them.
Who did you know?
Pasala Jang, Pasala Jang, call it PS. Chongan, I think the present army commander.
What's his name?
Cham. No, I think Cham. Some of them there, but I cannot recall all of them.
Yes. Before I proceed further on that, earlier on we talked about your responsibilities as members of the security detail of the vice chairman, and you told us that your responsibility was to ensure his security. Do you recall that?
Yes, but this time I was not yet with Sana Sabali.
I understand. You were saying this is just 3 days after the coup d'etat. You joined Sana Sabali after 5 days.
Yes, upwards.
Yes. So would your responsibilities also include, as a member of the security detail, of course, would your responsibilities include having to follow him around wherever he went?
By the time I am selected to move with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes, if I am on duty.
Yes. And normally, how many of you would be with him in the security detail?
It depends on the move at that time.
If he is leaving State House and going somewhere, how many people would be with him?
It depends on the people that are on duty at that time. Sometimes you have about, I think, three at the sweeper sometimes doesn't have too much of men, about 2 or 3. 2 or 3, and then the rear maybe have about 2 or so. Or 3 at the rear, 2 at the sweeper. It depends on two.
But most often, wherever he went, he would go with his orderlies.
Yes,
and
the security personnel.
And how many orderlies did he have?
3.
Could you name them, please?
Myself, Babukar Njai.
Which of the Njais? Babukar Njai?
We have Babukar Njai and Baba Njai.
Okay. All right. Babukar Njai is Njai Ponkal, according to you.
Babukar Njai.
Yes.
And Zakaria.
Zakaria who?
Zakaria Sise. Zakaria Dabo.
Yes, thank you very much.
Zakaria Dabo.
Did you have occasion to ever visit Mile 2 prison with Sana Sabali?
Daytime or nighttime?
Nighttime.
No, I cannot recall going him with at Mile 2 at nighttime.
Do you recall ever being in Mile 2 with Sana Sabali, wherein security detainees, not political detainees, security detainees were taken out and tortured?
No.
So you deny being present in Mile 2 prison on 5th or 6th September 1994 when Chongan, Mamad Cham and RSM Jeng were tortured by Sabali, members of the council and their orderlies?
No, I deny that. I deny that. Mamad Cham knows me personally. If I am there, he knows that I am there.
So your testimony is you are never there on that occasion?
On that occasion.
But were you there on another occasion, not necessarily at night, when political detainees were beaten?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
I was with the council's members when OJ, I think Baji, Kama Baji, or the others and other political detainees were forced to give some informations. And
where did this event take place? Where was it?
That was in mile 2. That was in mile 2 around the remand wing. Around the remand wing. That empty space.
Can you explain the setup in which this thing happened?
They were called outside there. They were called outside there, and
can you tell us about the setting, the arrangements at the time?
No, they all stood up, lined up in our front.
And the council members, were they standing or were they sitting?
They were standing.
Were any chairs provided?
I cannot recall, because at that time, that space, it was under the sun.
Okay, tell us what happened there.
Yeah, I think the council were trying to force them, for them to give them some information in which some of them refuses. Like,
first, which council members? Let's get their identities.
All the council. You have about those four. Normally, those four guys move together.
Can you
tell
us?
That is Edward, Sana Sabali, Singate, Yankuba.
Can you give us full names and ranks, please, and one by one?
Lieutenant Sana Sabali, Lieutenant Edward Singate, Lieutenant Yankuba Ture, and Lieutenant Sadi Buhaidara.
These were the council members who were present on that day?
Yes.
Were they alone? Did they come alone? Or did they come with their security detail?
No, they came with their securities.
Who can you recall among the securities who was present?
I can recall me being there, who is John speaking.
And who else?
Zakaria, Biye Njai, Babukar Njai, Lama Rana, Bari. There is the other council's members, Suso, Churo.
Tell us the full names, please.
Sometimes I may not.
Suso, what was his first name?
Suso, I cannot remember. In the army we are used to so names.
What was his rank?
No, they are all private.
Would Al-Fuseni ring a bell?
Al-Fuseni, yeah. Al-Fuseni Suso.
Yes, you mentioned Churo.
Yes.
What was his first name? Or full name, for that matter?
He's Ture. I cannot remember his name.
Could it be Mustafa?
Mustafa? I'm not used to his name.
Okay, it is Ture, also alias Churo.
Wow, Churo.
Okay, who else?
And you have Zakaria Dabo. And the drivers.
Let's talk about the security for Edward Singate.
No, I cannot tell you all the security for Edward Singate.
You could not?
I cannot remember them.
Okay. How about Yankuba?
Neither Yankuba and Sadi.
But could you recall the oddly for Yankuba Ture who was present on this occasion?
Yeah, few of them I can recall them.
Can you please tell us?
This is what I'm telling you. These are the names that I'm telling. Few of them I can recall. But I think Marong for Yankuba Ture, Marong, something.
These are the people you could remember.
I can remember, yes.
All right?
Yes.
So tell us how this event occurred with the political detainees. Tell us what happened from the time you arrived.
The time we arrived, when they brought them out, they were asked to stand in a queue, in a line, sort of. And They had some push and pull because I think they were asking them some questions in which
who was asking who questions?
Sana Singate and the others, the council members.
Good. And who were they asking?
The political detainees.
Which of the political detainees?
I can recall OJ, Omar Jallo, I think Kama Baji. I don't know whether Kama Baji. I can only recall those two, but there are more than two. There are more than that. These are the names that I can recall.
Up to 10? Were they up to 10?
No, I don't think they are up to 10. I think about 6 or 7 or so, but I don't think they are up to 10.
Okay. So what questions were they being asked?
No, I cannot recall the question. I cannot recall the questions.
How did you recall how OJ and others reacted?
Yes.
Tell us.
When Sana said, make sure they crawl, others accepted, but I know of OJ. OJ said no. OJ said no. A force was about to use on him. I personally, who is speaking here, went to OJ, pushed OJ off from the lot with him. I told him silently, please accept what they are telling you. Otherwise, it's not going to be good because they will just maltreat you. Accept what they tell you. Because I didn't want to say it openly so that they will hear. OJ can testify that. OJ knew me well before this.
And
so
what happened? Did anything happen?
He accepted and then tried to do some crawling little bit, and then, things were over.
Was OJ beaten at all?
At that juncture, except maybe my pushing that I can recall, maybe it is what he will take as beating, he might be beaten.
Answer the question, Mr. Witness. Did
he
you
might
beat
be beaten.
OJ?
I am not aware of him beating at that day, the day I am telling you.
Did you personally beat OJ?
No. I said I pushed OJ purposely to talk to him, secretly.
So how do you think OJ would misinterpret your pushing of him aside as being beaten?
No, he might at that juncture misinterpret it in a different way, but OJ knows me. And even
we are not talking about whether OJ knows you or not. Answer the question. The question is, why would OJ misinterpret you pushing him aside as you beating him? How could he possibly misinterpret that?
I don't know.
So why are you suggesting that maybe he misinterpreted it?
That's the way, because you are telling me that he is beaten.
Okay. OJ testified before this commission.
Yes.
And OJ said he was taken to the center of the crowd and beaten by the orderlies and the security personnel of the junta. What do you say to
Was that? Could it be the one that you are referring at mile 2 or no? Or what?
At mile 2, yes.
Then I cannot say anything about that.
Is it, Mr. Witness, that you are trying desperately to avoid seeing anybody being beaten at all by the orderlies?
Not all actions.
Because from what you have testified, we have dealt with about 8 instances or 9 instances of people being beaten or malhandled. You accepted only once that you participated in the torture. All the others you denied as not seeing. I don't know, I did not see it. Are you hiding behind, I don't know, or are you hiding behind, I don't see it?
I am not hiding. I am telling you the truth.
Well, OJ said he was beaten. You are here denying that.
Fine, but I am not hiding.
But you are denying what OJ
I am
said. Are you
denying that I am-
suggesting, listen, Mr. Witness,
Yes.
are you suggesting that OJ was lying?
No,
Then who is lying?
but I am telling you that
or OJ?
I didn't see, I did this to OJ, but I didn't see
I
that.
did not suggest that you beat OJ. I am saying OJ testified here and said that he was beaten. He was the only one taken to the middle of the crowd and beaten. Do you deny that fact?
I haven't seen it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, it's 5 minutes past 4. We are just scratching the surface with this witness. Obviously, we would need him for much of the day tomorrow, if not the entire day. So perhaps we can end it here and he would come back tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Wonder if the commissioners can wait towards the end of his testimony and ask him questions if they have any. If not,
I think if there is even 3 minutes, I have something to ask.
Commissioner Kinte, you have the floor.
Hello, Commissioner Kinte. Mendy, I remember in your testimony you said immediately after you conquered or taken over the State House, you went home, and because Banjulunim police was close to you, you posted yourself there for 3 days. You later said from there, you went and posted yourself at the GPMB premises. That also you said took about 5 days or 1 week or so. Bringing everything together, you were absent for 10 days before you were finally caught, as you said, and assigned to work with Sana. Is that correct? And hope that's not in contradiction to your participation in the Mile 7 event.
Commissioner Kinte, I didn't understand what you refer to as absent.
Hello, I said you said you went to Banjulunding. Immediately, just you spent only 4 hours or so at State House and you went to Banjulunding. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
And you said because Banjulunding police was closer to you, you continued your participation on independent basis, and there was no assignment, there was no command. You even said those days there were no commands. You post yourself wherever you want to be and do whatever you want to do. Am I right?
You are right.
Fine. And you said you stayed in Banjulunim police for on your own posting for 3-4 days or so. Am I right?
Can you repeat it again?
You said you stayed in Banjulunim, which was more convenient, closer to you, at least 3 days or so after State House. Am I right?
You are right, yes.
And you said you came and posted yourself to GPMB premises for almost a week. Am I right?
You are right.
Before you were caught. You
are right.
By Sana and Baji.
Yes.
These days together give us between 10 and 12 days.
Yes.
That you were not interacting with the junta directly. You were independent on your own on self-assignment.
You are right. I was not directly interact with the junta by then.
Mm-hmm. Fine. My question here is, hope your participation in Mile 2 is not within this bracket. That's my question.
If I may understand you right, or understand what you are saying, my participation in Mile 2, which participation in Mile 2 you are referring to? Because I am asked 2 questions pertaining about Mile 2 here.
You said you were posted on guard at Mile 2. I just made sure I am very brief or precise. That's why I didn't go into those details. But you were for the first time officially posted to Mile 2. Am I right?
1 or 2 days.
For at least 2 days, you said originally.
Yes.
And then, in fact, that has given me to something, another question. How did it come at mile 2 you were posted? You were never posted, you do post yourself. This time they posted you on mile 2. Is it that from mile 2 you went back to your hiding place before you were detected to be given to Sana? Or was it after being given to Sana that you were posted to mile 2 and so on? But still remember this question. Your participation in the torture of the civilians, hope it was not in this bracket of 12 days after the coup.
No, it was not within this bracket.
Thank you.
And the 2 days that I had in mile 2 was not before my joining to Sana Sabali.
Then it was after?
Yeah, no. Before joining Sana Sabali, these two days that I had in mile 2 with these senior officers, it was before joining Sana Sabali.
No, and you dodged once more and went back to your hiding before you were detected?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Bishop, you have a question?
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Witness, you said in your statement, in your speech that earlier on that you voluntarily joined the coupists, and you went through all the activities until you captured State House. And then you spent only 4 hours at State House. Then you left State House and went home. You did not return to State House at least till after over a week or so. Now, you voluntarily joined the coupists. You overthrew a government. And at your success, you decided to disappear from the scene completely. Is that not strange?
To me, it's not strange, because I know even if I stand there, I will not become the vice chairman, the chairman, and all the council members. It's just a matter of conveying people, and then you go out.
Could it be that you just engage yourself, voluntarily in a mayhem at that point in time, and at the end of it, you felt that you have achieved your aim, and then now you can just disappear out of the scene?
It's more or less like that, but, anyway, it's more or less like that. After achieving our aims and objectives, the people who are supposed to be responsible, let them take their responsibilities.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Carr?
Commissioner Carr, my question is, how would you describe Sana Sabali as a person?
Sana Sabali, as a person that I know, he is somebody who is honest, religious, hardworking, neat, and dedicated to his duty.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? If not, I guess Mr. Mendy, we would hear a bit more tomorrow from you. However, what would seem prima facie freelancing in torturing is a serious indictment, but I guess we would have these points clarified sometime tomorrow. If there are no further questions, we would meet again tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.